The knock on Lindao's door shook her small apartment. It was firm, deliberate, and carried a weight that made her heart skip. Her phone was still in her hand. On the glowing screen, the words stared back at her like a cruel joke. "I miss you. I'm so lonely tonight. I wish you were here to hold me, to make love to me until the night fades away." Her chest tightened. She blinked hard, as if maybe she had imagined sending it. But the message was there, stamped and delivered. That wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't supposed to bring someone here. Slowly, she dragged herself to the door and unlocked it. The hinges creaked, and there he stood, a tall Korean man. Tattoos coiled up his neck and disappeared beneath the open collar of his black shirt. His broad shoulders filled the doorway, his sharp suit gleaming under the hallway light. His eyes, dark, unreadable, and strangely magnetic, fixed on her with a weight that made her knees tremble. Behind him, a black Porsche purred softly, its headlights glowing like two cold eyes in the night. "Lindao," he said. His voice was deep, almost dangerous, yet there was a softness woven into it, like velvet hiding a blade. "You texted me." Her breath caught in her throat. She didn't even know this man. Hours earlier, the night had been silent, lonely. Halloween in Seoul meant streets buzzing with costumes and laughter, couples taking pictures under orange lights, and children racing around with pumpkin buckets. But none of that touched Lindao. She had spent the evening cleaning the tiny beauty salon where she worked, the scent of nail polish and hair dye clinging to her. Her co-workers had gone out, inviting her to join, but she had declined with a tired smile. Parties weren't for her tonight, not when her chest still ached with memories she couldn't erase. Back in her one-bedroom apartment, she curled on her bed, staring at the ceiling. The city hummed outside, but inside her world felt quiet and heavy. Her thoughts kept circling back to him, the man she had loved, the man who had left her without a backward glance. His name still made her heart twist, though she tried to push it away. He had been her escape, her comfort, the one who made Korea feel less lonely. But in the end, he had used her like the others before him. Just another rich Korean man chasing the thrill of something different. And yet, she still missed him, still longed for his voice, his touch, his warmth. The pain gnawed at her until she couldn't bear it anymore. She unlocked her phone, scrolled through her contacts, and found his name. Her thumb hovered over it. "Don't do it, Lindao. Don't embarrass yourself again." But the emptiness was too much. Loneliness is a cruel master. Pushes you into corners you swore you'd never enter again. So she began to type. "I miss you. I can't sleep tonight. Everywhere feels so empty without you. I don't care what happened. I just want to hear your voice again, even if it's just once. I wish you were here holding me close. I wish you could love me the way I love you." Her fingers hesitated, but the storm in her chest carried her on. She added one last line, a line she never would have dared in the daylight. "Tonight, I want you to make love to me until I forget the world." Her heart thundered as she pressed send. She set the phone down, hiding her face in her pillow. But minutes later a reply came. Except, it wasn't a reply. It was a knock. Now, standing face to face with the stranger at her door, Lindao's skin prickled. He studied her silently. His gaze wasn't mocking or cruel. It wasn't even lustful. It was something else, something she couldn't read. Then he tilted his head slightly. "You didn't mean to send that to me, did you?" Her lips parted, but no words came. She swallowed, trying to breathe. I think I made a mistake." A slow, almost dangerous smile touched his lips. "Mistakes can be interesting." Her pulse raced. "Who are you?" "Someone who read your words," he said simply. His eyes flickered toward the Porsche behind him. "And someone who doesn't like to see a woman that lonely." Lindao's stomach flipped. She glanced at the luxury car. It didn't belong in front of her rundown building. Nothing about this man belonged in her quiet life. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. "Nothing," he said. For a moment, his voice softened, almost mournful. "Your message. It reminded me of someone I lost. A woman who deserved better but never got it. My mother." His jaw tightened. His gaze darkened. "My father broke her until there was nothing left. And when she died, I swore I'd never let another woman feel that kind of pain. The silence stretched between them. Lindao's fear tangled with curiosity. Who was this man? Why was he standing here, speaking so vulnerably to a stranger? He reached into his pocket and held out a key. A Porsche key. I don't know you, he said. But I know this, no woman who writes words like that should go unnoticed. Tonight I want you to feel seen. Drive it. Keep it. Do whatever you want. Consider it a gift. Her mouth went dry. She shook her head quickly. No, I can't take that. His smile widened, but it wasn't cruel. It was almost gentle. You already gave me something, Lindao. You gave me honesty in a world where everyone lies. That's worth more than a car. Her heart pounded. She wanted to slam the door, to run, to scream. But another part of her wanted to reach out, to ask him who he really was. Because deep down, she knew this wasn't the end. This was only the beginning. Jinwoo leaned against the Porsche parked outside her building, the cool night air biting against his skin. The neon lights of Seoul flickered in the distance, painting the street in broken colors. But his mind wasn't on the city. It was on the words still glowing on his phone screen. I miss you. I'm so lonely tonight. I wish you were here to hold me, to make love to me until the night fades away. The message had arrived unexpectedly, cutting through the chaos of his evening like a whisper in the dark. At first, he thought it was a mistake. Women didn't send him words like that. Not women like her. Usually, when people contacted Jinwoo, it was for business, for power, for fear. But this message, it was raw, vulnerable. A woman pouring her heart into the night, desperate to be heard. For a man like him, a mafia boss who lived in shadows and violence, it was disarming, almost dangerous. He closed his eyes briefly, and for the first time in years, his thoughts went back to his mother. She used to write letters that were never sent, hidden in drawers, folded neatly beneath her clothes. Jinwoo had found them when he was a boy, words begging for love, words begging for freedom from a husband who treated her like property. By the time she died, those letters were the only proof that she had once dreamed of more. And now, reading the stranger's message, Jinwoo felt something stir inside him that he thought was long buried. Loneliness, sadness, and the haunting need to protect someone fragile from being broken the way his mother had been. Inside the apartment, Lindao sat on the edge of her bed, still shaken. She couldn't get his face out of her head. The tattoos, the sharp suit, the way his eyes had looked right through her. Why would he come here? She whispered to herself, hugging her knees. How did I even send it to him? She picked up her phone, staring at the number. It was so close to her ex's, just one digit off. Her stomach dropped. That small mistake had brought a stranger, no, not just a stranger, a dangerous man, to her door. Her instincts screamed to block him, delete everything, and pretend this had never happened. But her hands wouldn't move, because beneath the fear, there was something else. Curiosity. Jinwoo didn't leave. He wasn't the type to walk away once something caught his attention. Instead, he sat in his car, scrolling back to read the message again. He found himself memorizing each line, as if trying to understand the woman behind the words. I don't care what happened. I just want to hear your voice again, even if it's just once. He exhaled slowly, gripping the steering wheel. Why did it matter so much? He didn't know her. He wasn't supposed to care. Yet, every sentence echoed inside him, pulling at a part of him that had been silent for too long. His phone buzzed. A text from one of his men. Boss, we need you. The deal is tonight. Jinwoo ignored it. For once, business could wait. Instead, he typed out a message. His fingers hovered over the screen, uncharacteristically hesitant. He was used to ordering, commanding, threatening. Not this. Finally, he sent it. You don't sound like a woman who should be alone tonight. The buzz of her phone made Lindao jump. She reached for it, expecting maybe her ex, maybe even a cruel joke. But when she read the words, her chest tightened. She hesitated, staring at the message. Should she reply? Every part of her screamed that this was dangerous. She didn't even know this man's name. And yet, she couldn't stop herself. I didn't mean to send that message to you. It was a mistake. Almost instantly, he replied, maybe, But mistakes can reveal truths you're too scared to say out loud. Her hands shook. She typed, erased, and typed again. Finally, she sent, "You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through." His reply came seconds later. "Then tell me. I'm listening." That night, their conversation stretched longer than she ever intended. First, she tried to keep her words short, but slowly, without realizing, Lindayo began to share pieces of herself. Her life as a beautician in Korea, how she had come with dreams of building something bigger, only to find herself trapped in endless work and loneliness. How love had been nothing but disappointment. Men who used her, discarded her, and left her with nothing but scars. He didn't interrupt. He didn't flirt. He just listened. When she finally asked, "Why do you even care?" his answer was quiet but heavy. "Because once, I watched a woman I loved cry herself to sleep every night, and no one listened to her. Not even me. I won't make that mistake again." Her throat tightened. Whoever this man was, there was pain in him too. She wanted to ask who he really was, but before she could, another knock sounded at her door. This time, softer, patient. Her breath caught. She looked through the peephole, and there he was again. Jinwoo. But now, in his hand, he wasn't holding car keys. He was holding something else. A single white rose. When she finally opened the door, his gaze met hers, steady and unreadable. "You told me you wanted someone to hold you tonight," he said quietly. "I don't know if I can be that person, but I can sit here, outside your door, so you don't feel so alone." Lindayo's chest ached. No man had ever said something like that to her. Not in Korea. Not anywhere. And as she closed her door softly, sliding down to the floor with tears in her eyes, she realized one thing. Whoever this stranger was, he wasn't just dangerous. He was the most dangerous kind of man. The kind who could break down walls she had built to protect herself. And for the first time, she wasn't sure if she wanted to stop him. Lindayo couldn't stop staring at the sleek black Porsche parked outside her tiny apartment. The roar of the engine seemed almost unreal in the quiet street. Her hands shook as she held the keys he had left. Smooth, cold, heavy in her palm. She pressed them, and the car lights blinked in response. Her breath caught. "How did he?" she whispered. One wrong number had led to this. A man she didn't know, dangerous and handsome, now knew her address, knew her loneliness, and cared enough to show up like this? Minutes earlier, she had curled up on her bed, trying to make sense of it all. Her phone still buzzed with short messages from Jinwoo. "You don't have to talk to me if you don't want to, but I'll wait, and I'll watch over you." Her heart thumped in ways she couldn't name. Fear, curiosity, and something else. Something that had nothing to do with caution. Jinwoo stood a few meters away, leaning against a lamppost. Tattoos peeked from under his suit sleeves, the night wind ruffling his dark hair. His eyes followed her through the window, not in a threatening way but in a way that made her chest tighten. She wanted to call the police, to lock the door, to tell him to leave. But every instinct that had kept her safe in the past felt useless now. When she finally stepped outside, careful and trembling, he straightened. His voice was calm, steady, even when it carried that underlying danger she couldn't ignore. "Lindayo," he said simply, not a question but a statement. "I hope I didn't scare you." You didn't. I'm just..." She paused, trying to breathe. "Confused." He smiled faintly, a dangerous curve of lips that somehow felt protective. "Good. Confusion is the beginning of understanding. And tonight you need understanding, don't you?" Her chest fluttered. I don't know who you are. Yet." His eyes softened for a moment, almost regretful. "But soon you'll understand me more than anyone ever will." Over the next few days, Jinwoo began to appear in subtle ways. Not intrusive, not overly forward, but impossible to ignore. A coffee outside her salon, left anonymously on her desk with a note. "For your long days, Jay." A bouquet of flowers at her doorstep, always white roses. No words, just a presence she couldn't explain. Lindayo's curiosity burned alongside her fear. She couldn't deny the strange thrill that ran through her whenever she spotted him from her window. And yet, the thought of who he really was, a man she didn't know, a man with shadows she couldn't see, terrified her. One evening, he appeared as she locked up the salon, leaning casually against his Porsche, watching her with those unreadable eyes. "You work too hard," he said quietly. "You deserve more than this life of constant exhaustion." She blinked. "Who are you? Really? Someone who knows what it's like to be trapped in a world that doesn't care about you." Her stomach twisted. The pain in his voice echoed her own loneliness, yet it carried a weight she didn't understand. She wanted to ask more questions, but words failed her. He didn't push. He just handed her another white rose and left, the engine of his Porsche fading into the night. Later, sitting on her bed, Linda held the flower, inhaling its sweet scent. Her mind raced. Every encounter with him pulled at something inside her. Fear, longing, curiosity, something dangerously like attraction. She thought of the wrong number, the text, the confession she had sent that had led to this. How had one small mistake brought a man like this into her life? And more importantly, why did it feel like he belonged there? By the weekend, she began noticing whispers on the street. Shopkeepers, neighbors, strangers passing by, glancing at the black Porsche and talking in hushed tones. Jinwoo's presence was not unnoticed. Fear and curiosity mingled in her chest. She wanted to run. She wanted to hide. But every time she tried to push the thought of him away, she found herself thinking of his voice, his eyes, the strange calm he radiated even when danger seemed close. For the first time in months, she wondered if loneliness could be something more. Something that drew her toward him, even if danger lurked beneath. And in that quiet, uneasy tension, Linda realized something terrifying and thrilling at once. She wanted to see him again. The morning sunlight fell softly across Linda's apartment, catching the petals of the white rose Jinwoo had left on her bedside table the night before. She stared at it, fingers tracing the delicate edges, heart thumping uncontrollably. It had been days since that first knock, days since he had appeared outside her salon, leaning against his Porsche with those unreadable eyes. And yet, the memory of him, dangerous, handsome, commanding, haunted her in the quiet moments. Her phone buzzed suddenly, making her jump. It was a message from him. "Meet me at 7 tonight. I want to show you something." The words were simple, direct, and terrifying. Her first instinct was to ignore it. Her second was to delete it. But her thumb hovered over the screen, trembling. Curiosity, desire, and a strange sense of destiny battled within her. Finally, she typed, "Where? Seoul Tower. Be there." The hours crawled. Linda tried to busy herself at the salon, but her hands shook as she worked on nails and hair. Every knock on the door, every sound outside made her heart leap. What kind of man was this? Why was he doing this for her? By 6:30, she was dressed and ready. She had chosen a simple black dress that hugged her curves in all the right places, her hair falling in soft waves over her shoulders. She tried to look composed, but inside, her heart raced with nervous anticipation. Seoul Tower loomed in the distance as she arrived. The city lights glittered like stars scattered across the earth. And there, leaning against a sleek black car at the base of the tower, was Jinwoo. Tattoos visible beneath the rolled-up sleeves of his crisp white shirt, sharp pants, and polished shoes. Every inch of him screamed power and danger, yet there was a softness in his eyes when they met hers. "You came," he said simply. Linda swallowed hard. I didn't know what to expect." "Expect nothing," he replied, his lips curling in that faint smile that made her pulse race. "Tonight, you'll see only what I want you to see." They rode the elevator up to the observation deck. The city sprawled beneath them, alive and glittering. He stood close, but not too close, just near enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. "Why are you doing all this?" she asked, trying to sound casual, but her voice betrayed her curiosity. He remained silent for a moment, eyes fixed on the skyline. "Because you deserve to be seen," he said finally. "You write words like a poet, yet you live like the world has forgotten you. That I cannot allow." Linda felt her chest tighten. No man had ever spoken to her like that. No man had ever made her feel simultaneously so small and so noticed. He handed her a small box. Confused, She opened it to find a delicate silver bracelet with a single charm, a tiny moon. "For you," he said simply. A reminder that even in darkness, light finds a way. Her hands shook as she fastened it around her wrist. "Why are you so kind?" she whispered. "Because kindness is a luxury most people can't afford," he said, eyes glinting. "And I can." For a moment, silence stretched between them, heavy and intimate. She wanted to speak, to ask questions about who he really was, but fear tangled with desire, leaving her tongue tied. Then, unexpectedly, he took her hand. Not a harsh grip, not a claim, but a careful, gentle hold that made her pulse spike. "You're not afraid?" she asked, voice barely audible. "Afraid of what?" he countered, his thumb brushing her knuckles. "Of you," she admitted softly. Jinwoo's smile was almost imperceptible, but it reached his eyes. "Good," he said. "You should be." They walked to the edge of the deck, the wind whipping through her hair, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. She could feel the tension coiling around him, the danger that radiated from every line of his body, and yet the warmth of his hand anchored her. "You shouldn't trust me," he said quietly. "I am not the kind of man anyone should fall for." Lindao's heart stuttered. "Then why am I not scared?" He turned to her, his eyes piercing, unreadable. "Because you know something I don't tell anyone," he murmured. "You see through the masks, and you make me want to be better than the man the world thinks I am." Her breath caught. His words struck her like lightning, leaving her dizzy and disoriented. This dangerous, untouchable man was vulnerable before her. As the night deepened, they spoke. Not about business, not about the world outside, but about life, loss, loneliness. Jinwoo told her fragments of his past, carefully, selectively. About his mother, about the pain of growing up under a father who had no love to give. About the emptiness he had learned to carry like armor. Lindao shared pieces of her own life, the heartbreaks, the loneliness in a foreign city, the men who had used her for curiosity or sport. And as they talked, the distance between them shrank. When the city clock struck 10, Jinwoo finally broke the silence. "I want to take you somewhere else. A quiet place, where no one can judge you, where you can be yourself." Her pulse raced. "And if I refuse?" He tilted his head slightly, studying her. "Then I'll wait, but I hope you won't." By the end of the night, Lindai realized she had forgotten everything else. The loneliness, the heartbreak, the pain that had haunted her for months. In its place, there was this strange, terrifying, exhilarating feeling. She was falling for a man she barely knew, a man who could destroy her with a whisper, yet had chosen instead to show her kindness, attention, and something else, something dangerous and yet intoxicating. The drive home was quiet. Jinwoo didn't speak much, letting her thoughts roam, letting the city lights blur past them. And when he dropped her off, he didn't kiss her, didn't even linger, but his hand brushed hers for a fleeting second, sending shivers down her spine. "Good night, Lindao," he said finally. "Good night," she whispered, barely breathing. After he left, she sat on her bed, staring at the silver bracelet on her wrist. Her heart still raced, her mind still whirled, and deep down, she knew something undeniable had begun tonight. A connection forged in loneliness, curiosity, and an inexplicable pull toward a man who was dangerous and unforgettable. And somehow, she didn't want it to end. Lindao hadn't slept all night. The memory of Jinwoo's hand brushing hers in the Porsche, the weight of his gaze, the way his voice had spoken to her as if reading her soul, it replayed endlessly in her mind. Her small apartment felt suffocating now, too quiet, too empty. For the first time in months, she felt alive and terrified at the same time. Her phone buzzed softly. A message from Jinwoo. "Meet me at the Han River Pier at 7. Don't be late." She hesitated. Fear warred with curiosity. She didn't know what awaited her. What kind of man truly existed behind the cold, charming mask? And yet, something inside her, a spark she hadn't felt in years, pushed her forward. By 7 p.m., Lindao stood at the pier, the city lights reflecting on the river like molten gold. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the faint scent of the river mixed with the distant aroma of street food. And there he was, waiting as always, leaning casually against a sleek black car that gleamed under the lamplight. "On time," he said simply, his eyes scanning her face as if noting every detail. She swallowed hard. I didn't know what this is," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. Jinwoo stepped closer. Not too close, just enough to make her pulse race. "Neither do I," he said, voice low, almost a growl. "But I want you to see something that matters to me." Curiosity surged, overriding her fear. "What is it?" He smiled faintly and opened the car door for her. The leather smelled faintly of leather and cologne. "Trust me," he said. They drove through the city, lights blurring past the windows. Finally, they arrived at a massive private estate hidden behind high walls and guards. Lindao's heart stuttered. "This is—" she began, but words failed her. "This is where I live," he said simply. "I don't usually bring people here, but you deserve to see me fully, not just glimpses." The estate was lavish, understated yet intimidating. Marble floors, modern furniture, subtle artwork, and the faint hum of security cameras. A world she could never have imagined. Lindao's pulse raced. The danger she had felt outside her apartment seemed magnified tenfold here, but mingled with it was an undeniable thrill. Jinwoo guided her to a balcony overlooking a private courtyard. The moonlight spilled across the space, casting long shadows. He leaned against the railing, watching her with those inscrutable eyes. "You're scared," he said quietly, almost as if reading her mind. I shouldn't be here," she admitted softly. "I don't belong in this world." He smiled, a slow, teasing curl of lips that made her chest tighten. "No one belongs in my world," he said. "But tonight I want you to belong somewhere. Here, with me, even if just for a moment." Her throat went dry. She wanted to speak, to ask the questions that screamed in her mind. Who is he really? How did he find me? Why me? But the words caught in her chest. Instead, she nodded. Dinner was served in a private room, soft candlelight flickering against walls lined with books and artwork. The food was exquisite, flavors delicate yet bold. Lindao ate slowly, tasting each bite as if savoring a dream. "You eat too fast sometimes," Jinwoo remarked casually, eyes watching her. I'm nervous," she admitted. "Everything about this, is so overwhelming." He chuckled softly, a rare, low sound that seemed almost gentle. "Good," he said. "I want tonight to overwhelm you, in a good way." She felt her face heat, and for a moment, she imagined what that could mean. Not just the food, the estate, or the city view, but him, the dangerous pull he carried. After dinner, Jinwoo led her to a small library. The room smelled faintly of old leather and cedar. He gestured to a chair by the fireplace. "Sit," he said. She did, heart racing. He perched on the edge of the table opposite her, leaning forward. The firelight flickered across his face, highlighting the sharp lines of his jaw, the tattoos curling up his neck, the dark depth of his eyes. "I've never met anyone like you," he said quietly. "You're fearless, even in your fear, honest even in your pain, and despite everything you still reach for connection. That's rare." Her chest tightened. I don't know what to say." "Say nothing," he replied. "Just listen." For hours they talked, about life, about loneliness, about love and loss. Jinwoo shared glimpses of the man he had become, the walls he had built around himself, the people he had lost, the darkness he had embraced. And Lindao, in turn, shared the heartbreaks she had endured in Korea, the men who had used her, and the emptiness she had carried since arriving. Every word drew them closer. Every glance tightened the invisible thread binding them. She felt safe and terrified all at once, caught between fascination and fear. Finally, Jinwoo rose and approached her. Slow, deliberate, he extended a hand. "Dance with me," he said quietly. I don't know how," she whispered. "I'll guide you," he said simply, and took her hands in his. The first notes of soft jazz began to play from a small speaker, filling the room. And as they moved together, hesitant at first. Then gradually more fluidly, Lindio felt something she hadn't felt in years. Warmth, safety, and belonging. He didn't try to kiss her. He didn't try to claim her. He simply held her, guiding her in the dance, letting her lean against him, and letting her feel wanted without pressure. When the music ended, he stepped back slightly, still holding her gaze. "You're extraordinary," he said softly, "and I want to know every part of you, but I won't rush. Not now. Not ever." Her throat went dry. She nodded, overwhelmed by the intensity of his words, the weight of his presence. She wanted to speak, to tell him how she felt, but fear and awe kept her silent. "Tonight," he said quietly, "is only the beginning. Remember that." And with that, he led her back to the car, silent but close, his hand brushing hers in a fleeting electric touch. Back in her apartment later, Lindio lay awake, the silver moonlight spilling across her bed. Her thoughts spun endlessly, about the estate, the firelit library, the dance, and the pull of a man who was dangerous yet tender, commanding yet careful. She traced the outline of the bracelet he had given her, the tiny moon catching the light. And deep down, she knew one terrifying, thrilling truth. She was falling for a man who could destroy her life in an instant, and she didn't care, because for the first time in a long time, she felt alive.
Hello, besties. And just like that, Lindy West's lonely light turned into a shock she never saw coming. A Porsche, a mysterious man, and a life she never imagined. But is this the start of true love or something far more dangerous? Find out in episode 2. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe, and share.